that people get together on a weekend, and more than anything else, I think for Shashi and Gulak, I think it's hats off to you folks because starting a community is no small feat, and your passion for technology and your intent to get people together. Honestly, thanks to you guys to for doing this. And again, once again, thanks everyone for joining this morning. And yes, all of us are busy schedules, but I always look for inspiration and energy from communities. I mean, I never say no to any community event where they invite me to share my thoughts and knowledge. But here I am again uh, talking to you about one specific technology, but I'll try to bring in a broader perspective, right, as we go along in terms of as tech in industry, where we see transformation, and I'm going to take you to that journey. Okay, of course, Power Platform is the focus. You will definitely hear from me in terms of some of the latest innovations on that trail, but my intent this morning is to give you a glimpse of what's happening in the tech world and how is low code, no code becoming to be probably a revolutionary technology, I would say, trail as we go along. Okay. Shashi, can you just confirm you can see my screen once?
Yes, Sandeep, we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much. Now let's get going. By the way, at Microsoft, I head this group called Microsoft Technology Center. It's an experience center in Bangalore. India has one center, that's what I lead. And I get to meet at least two customers every single day, right? And most of what I'll speak this morning, I'll bring in some of my experiences from those discussions, how customers are looking at no code, low code platforms, how are they trying to build business applications, and if there's one persona, right, who's probably will take center stage, are business users. You can call them citizen developers, right? So that's a persona we're talking about. But let's get started. I'll take you through that journey. And also, I'm sure most of you know that as Microsoft, we hosted Build conference 2 weeks back. Build is Microsoft's flagship developer conference. So I'm going to bring in some announcements from there as well. Okay. Wonderful. And again, I leave 5 minutes for Q&A in the end, so feel free to ask me questions, or even as I speak, post your questions in the chat window, and let's look at those questions in the end. But otherwise, I'll keep some time for Q&A at the end. Okay. So look at what has happened to the industry in the last 18 months, right? Of course, customer has always been this focal point, right? I mean, customer centricity is something we speak about in the technology world, in the business world, in terms of how when innovating for a business, eventual recipient would be a consumer or a customer in this case. When I say customer in the B2B space or a consumer in the B2C space. Now, each of our requirements are changing every single day, right? Because majority of users are getting onto the digital platforms, hence expectation has skyrocketed, right? And it is across industries, by the way. It's not specific to one industry, be it automotive, healthcare, or retail for that matter. Doesn't matter. End of the day, your expectations on the experience you want when you use a system is more than ever super important, right? As a developer, as an architect, or as a technology leader, if you're innovating for now and for the future, customer centricity becomes central. It's almost like a heartbeat when it comes to any solution. But of course, if we look at it, while I say businesses are changing dominantly because of the hybrid model in the current times, right? And by the way, you should know this. Business applications, right? This is what we're talking about. Power Platform is dominantly, I would say, lighting up the business users to build business applications, right? Now, that's not new. In fact, even before pandemic, the projection was by 2025, we will have 500 million new applications built by citizen developers. And that's probably an area where you don't have to have a developer intervention. Citizen developers will build applications. That was the projection. But now, post-pandemic, I would say in the new normal, that number has probably become double, I would say, in terms of ability for people to innovate at their own at their end, looking at what assets they have and they intend to stay productive, right? Of course, there is definite pressure on IT budget, and hence, you're better off. I would say nurturing citizen developers in your company where you don't have to pretty much go back to IT for simple applications. I'm not saying when it's simple, don't take me in a concept of simplicity. No, it's a question of there are some applications Doesn't matter if you connect to SAP or Oracle database for that matter, doesn't matter, but ability for a business user to connect to SAP and build a simple application is the reality today, right? Of course, the big deal here for all of us know is there is definite shortage of professional developers. I think that's something which is a known entity because every single company are looking for professionals where the need of the hour is to absolutely complement IT strategy. But of course, the global demand and the supply, there's always a mismatch. In that context, there's also a backdrop why no code or low code environments are becoming popular, right? If you look at this Gartner technology trends for 2021, if there's one aspect I want all of you to understand this, right? If you look at industry, this is a time where everybody said, yes, automation is key. Now, interestingly, if you look at 2021 trends for Gartner, hyper automation has been highlighted as one of the key tenets, right? That, by the way, what is hyper automation? I mean, simply put, anything that needs or anything that can be automated should be automated, right? That's what it simply means, right? Now, automation probably never got its due credit pre-pandemic. Now, with location independence that all of us are kind of enjoying, need of the hour is to automate certain things so that each of us can stay productive, right? In that context, hyper automation is super, super critical. Now, I'll tell you why this is so important when it comes to Power Platform or no code, low code. Now, look at these two trends, right? What I'm talking about right now. I'm sure all of you understand intelligent automation. What is intelligent automation? It is basically a classic manifestation of RPA, which is robotic process automation, and AI, right? Now, as all of you may know by now, Power Platform is one of the platforms which brings in RPA capability. Intelligent automation is a reality within Power Platform, right? This is about automation, but there's another trend which is fast emerging. That is basically autonomous systems. Now, look at the shift here in terms of thinking. We're talking about automation at one end. On the other hand, we're talking about autonomy. Very, very critical, right? Again, autonomous systems is a different league altogether. This is only to share a few, I would say, my observations from customers in terms of how they're looking at for the future. While they automate today, there's a need for us to infuse autonomy into systems, and that will definitely happen in future, but not now right away. Because when you say autonomy, we think about there is no human intervention. There is no human in the loop. For intelligent automation, there'll definitely human in the loop. Yeah. But again, if you look at these two terms, eventually they all manifest into the so-called hyper automation trend we spoke about. Let's take a reality check, right? As I said earlier, in the next 5 years, I would say, 500 million applications, right? We've not seen that in the last 40 years, right? That's something which is a massive, massive shift in how people are looking at building applications. Now, I said earlier, hyper automation is one area. That means anything that needs to be automated should be automated. Now, look at this: 50% of digital work. Each of us should see. By the way, in the past, as human beings, we're very used to repetitive work, right? Can we let go of that? It's a tough thing to do for businesses. Identifying where is repetitive work and reimagining that in the context of automation is a task that every customer is doing. By the way, when I speak to my customers, it's very clear. You know what? We want to automate as much as possible so that we can repurpose the manpower to do probably something more impactful. Right? That's the need of the hour. Now, when there is need for us to build so many applications, right? Can we look at, I would say, creating developers, right? I mean, there's always been a developer shortfall, and every single company struggle to hire good developers. I'm not saying, there is more jobs than number of people. No, that's not true. There is definitely jobs for sure, but they're looking at developers who bring in the best in class skills for the company. That's what they look at. Now, we can afford to teach everyone to code when the need of the hour is to build so many business applications, right? Which is where you have to look at how do we turn everyone to wear the hat of a developer. That means, can business users think technology, think building applications? That's where, as I mentioned earlier, there's one persona which probably takes center stage. Let me just highlight that. Would be your business users with citizen developers. This persona will absolutely take center as we go along. And IT admins and professional developers, they have a significant role to play, by the way. We'll talk about it. But right now, if you look at it, the focus when it comes to low code or no code, by the way, we'll also look at no code, right? There's one classic example I want to showcase today. When it comes to low code, business users who do not know programming and they stay productive by building applications, that's what Power Platform brings to the table, right? Now let's move on. Now, for all of you, I'm not sure how many of you are Power Platform developers, but let's take a quick look at how the platform looks. Now, if you look at Power Platform, yes, the top tier is the Power Platform as you're seeing here. This is basically the Power Platform stack. But look at the cohesive nature of this blueprint here, because end of the day, there is a role played by developer, which I'm circling right now. Developer has, I would say when I say I would say when I say every developer, we're talking about citizen developers, right? Who probably don't know programming. They look at low code platforms. So Power Apps, Power Automate, which basically is your RPA tool, Power Virtual Agent, which basically is your chatbot, and Power BI, which is a visualization tool. All of that can be used to build applications by citizen developers with absolutely low code, right? Now, you should also understand that it's also a platform where professional developers can also handshake with citizen developers, because look at it. You might be looking at creating an applications. You know application development as a low code environment. Now you need access to some of the assets in the downstream systems, right? Let's talk about a chief marketing officer. Chief marketing officer, all of us know, may not be techie, may not know programming. Now, CMO wants to access data from SAP. Now, how do we connect to SAP? Can there be an API? That's the role of a professional developer. Professional developer will work towards exposing API to business users so that they can build applications, right? The entire stack which you're seeing here, where I'm talking about professional developers, this line I'm drawing, below that is all pro developers work, right? This is all pro developers work. So professional developers work hand in glove with business users who are termed as citizen developers as application development happens. So if you look at this, pro developers plus Power Platform, absolutely no limits. So if you are a professional developer, you have a great opportunity to, first of all, complement Power Platform. And if you also want to look at no code, low code environment build applications, you have a great opportunity to learn Power Platform. I think that's what it is. Of course, this cohesive, I would say architectural coherence is what I want to call it, because if you look at technically, there is no barrier here across Power Platform, Azure services, and backend database services, right? There is seamless integration. There is absolute interoperability across the board. As a developer and a citizen developer, you can absolutely should rest assured that there won't be any issue in terms of integration across the board. That's what the professional developer's role here is, right? Now let's look at some of the latest capabilities that was announced, right? Now, Power FX. I'm not sure how many of you heard about this. We announced this about 3 months back at our Ignite conference. Look at it this way: we have millions and millions of users who are very productive in Excel, right? Excel macros. They pretty much live through the day in Excel sheet building macros and doing some sophisticated stuff, right? Now we wanted to make them productive in a low code environment, which is Power Platform. So FX is basically a language, right, which will help people script in Power Apps. And this is people who probably are already doing that in Excel, right? How do we get them to stay productive and build applications in Power Platform? And that's Power FX for you. Okay, this is something I would say, if people are comfortable, scripting a few macros and expressions, that's what Power FX will do for them. This is one of the very, I would say, significant announcement just to make sure that we can broaden the horizon when it comes to number of people who can use Power Platform, right? Now, second, again, automation, right? I mentioned earlier, anything that can be automated should be automated. That's probably is the thumb rule going forward. Now, all of us look at business users. They'll probably have ton of Excel sheets on their machines, Word documents, whatever, and they also do a lot of repetitive work. Now, can we empower every single user to look at automation at their own behest? That means every Windows 10 professional user, right? by default, free of cost, they get Power Automate Desktop as a free tool. That means you can pretty much, look at basic automation on a desktop, right? Imagine you get an Excel sheet at your in mailbox, open Excel sheet, take content, add, subtract, whatever, and then eventually send email back. All the stuff, if it's repetitive work, desktop can do it for you. Power and desktop can do it for you, right? Now, this is where you start your journey. Once you need to connect to other resources, of course, you have to go to Power Automate online, right? So the beauty here is we are empowering every single user with tools like Power Automate Desktop to look at how they can stay productive, right? This is one cool announcement. All of you should, if you're not downloaded Power Automate Desktop, I think time is now to do that. Now, let's look at holistically, if you look at a platform, right? I mean, this is basically, when we say Microsoft Cloud, this is the app representation of that, right? You have M365, you have D365, you have GitHub, Azure, and of course, Power Platform, right? These are the core building blocks of Microsoft Cloud. And the best part is, as I said earlier, there is architectural coherence across the board. And that way, you should rest assured that whether you're building a business application or you're building any other application, any other group within an organization, you should rest assured that you can integrate seamlessly across the board. Now, another couple of announcements before we kind of get into Q&A. Number one, this probably, in my view, is transformative. Why do I say transformative? Because you should know the backdrop here. In fact, in one of the recent video that I post on LinkedIn called TGIF, Tech Gyan 5, we spoke about this. So Microsoft and OpenAI Group, right? So OpenAI Group, basically, OpenAI's charter is to, build path-breaking AI solutions and make it available for the betterment of humanity. That's what they work on, right? So we partnered with OpenAI Group, and they're, by the way, working on something called
Actually, no, that is not matching to my profile. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes, yes. RMS, right? Yeah, it's not.
Okay, can you guys go on mute? There's some background noise. Yeah, thank you.
See, can you mute Chitta?
Thank you so much. Now, if you look at Microsoft, we partnered with OpenAI Group and we licensed their AI models. And one of the model for natural language is called GPT-3. Just look up GPT-3 in internet, you'll know this is the world's largest and most powerful natural language machine learning model. And we've used that model in Power Apps to make it pretty much a no code. Let's look at this example, right? Now, as you're seeing here, I'm building a Canvas app. I want to basically write an expression where number of subscribers in the US have expired. So in natural language, I write this query saying, show me the customers from US whose subscription has expired. That's what I input. If you look at the top right, there's something like ideas, right? That's what I key in and look what happens. It gives you an expression. That means going forward, you don't have to remember syntax of when you write expressions. That means one of the questions that business users have asked is, hey man, I'm okay to use Power Apps, but you're making me remember a lot of syntactical things. I don't want to remember syntax. I don't want to remember. I want to naturally write, and that's the answer here, right? So GPT-3's infusion into Power Apps has made it very simple for anybody to use natural language to build your code, right? This is probably beginning of what we call as a no code at all, right? Let's move on. This is one of the super cool announcements. But again, look at this one. This is another great representation. If you look at collaborative applications, this probably is where Power Platform sits beautifully here. And all of you should probably be super happy here, because end of the day, Power Platform is one of the most powerful, I would say, utility or I would say a framework within the overall platforms that we have as Microsoft, right? Again, attracting a large number of business users and professional developers to build fast-track application. I can tell you this. I work with a lot of global customers, right? Take Nasdaq, take NYSE, PepsiCo. Doesn't matter. Large multinational conglomerates. Each one of them are looking at how can they use Power Platform to ensure they can build applications or reimagine services in the current Power Platform so that they can integrate seamlessly across other applications, right? Again, empowering business users to build application. Okay, so one last thing, if you know, all of us today have joined in Teams. Now, Power Platform, we've integrated Power Platform with Teams. That means Teams, in my view, is a new browser, right? Most of the work in a day, in a work life, we spend in Teams, and Power Platform's integration with Teams gives you that ability to actually program in that environment, right? So with that, I will take a pause. I think we have 5 minutes, for the hour, and I'm happy to take questions if you have any. And if you have any further question beyond this conference, feel free to reach out to me at this email address. This is my LinkedIn address. Reach out to me there as well. We can stay connected, and I'll be more than happy to answer questions if you have any. Otherwise, I want to thank Shashi and Golak for inviting me this morning, and thanks each one of you joining this morning, because it's all about learning, networking, and making sure we're relevant in the industry. Okay, so I will pause here, stop sharing, and I'll be open for questions.
Thanks, Sandeep, for that wonderful session. So we have one question from Mr. Jaya Mishra. So he's asking, while working with Canvas app, Formula or Power FX, we face delegation issues many a times. Will GPT-3 powered Formula can take care of this?
Yeah, absolutely. So see, when GPT-3 gives an expression, it gives you a choice in terms of 3 or 4 options in terms of how you can, which formula you want to use. And end of the day, the decision is yours. But of course, syntactically, looking at the elements you already constructed within your overall profile, GPT-3 right now will ensure that it understands that part and gives you an expression. Because by the way, when you're saying, in the example I showed, when we say, hey, show me customers in the US whose subscription has expired, that means you should know that US is basically one of the entities there, right? And subscription is an attribute there. It knows the entity model there. That's why it's pretty much giving you that concept. But of course, this is early days, but you should check it out, because right now previewed in North America. But when we get it, I'm sure, there are a lot of, see, it's a beginning of the journey, right? It's not a one-time announcement. So
Hello.
Hello, Sandeep. I think we missed you. Hello, guys. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
I think,
we can hear you, but not Sandeep.
It seems some issue.
yeah, I think some issue from Sandeep and
I think we lost him.
just try with a C. There is no network issue, right, from your end? Maybe. Yeah, I think Sandeep is back. Yeah. Sandeep, sorry, we lost you in between. I think there is some.
yeah, my apologies, sir. I think that my Teams crashed. Just we came up. Hope you can hear me now.
Okay. So you can go ahead.
So what are the last thing you heard from me? I said, I just want to know, should I repeat the answer?
I think answer we have got already. JR Mishra, if you got your answer or not, you can comment in the chat window.
Yes, I got the pretty much answer. Like I have one more question also.
Sure.
Like in Power BI, the QA feature, we have this setting the synonym for we can set synonyms. So will this feature in the any plan of this feature in the Power App where we can handle the data source for our for changing the names, and the column name may be complicated, and we can set the synonyms so that we can use the Power Idea feature more easily.
So there's something called programming by example. Okay, so look at that, because right now, if you want to fix certain, let's say, column headers, you can show an example of how it should be. And again, this is again a power of GPT-3. It understands that internally and it gives you the concept. Just check out programming by example. Karan's question is, does Microsoft have a plan to use GPT-3 in Power Automate? See, look
Yeah.
at this way. Natural language processing, there is honestly no limit in terms of where all you can use it. We have seen the first instance of GPT-3 being used in Power Apps. It's in my view, it's a beginning. Wherever we can bring in natural language to make life of a citizen developer better, I think it definitely will be used. But I don't have an answer in terms of whether it will happen for sure. But of course, this is a starting of the journey where GPT-3 infusion is happening for our products. Yeah.
Thank you, Sandeep, for that. I hope to see it actually in every platform. Like if there's one unified place, that would be great.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think I think that's the best thing that has happened to the platform so far in empowering our citizen developers. So keeping our fingers crossed that it should probably come across to other products as well.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. So we will move ahead, and we are already 1:30. My time 1:30 means it's 11 already. So
yeah. Can we do this, Gulak? This is what I do in person also. Before I end my talk, I typically take a selfie with audience, but in the virtual world, if all of you can switch on your videos, we can do a group. We can probably go with a large gallery preview and take a snapshot. That will be wonderful, right? And I urge all of you to switch on videos, because this is probably the best way to stay connected. This is the best way to understand who all have joined and relate to them. So yeah, feel free to switch on your videos and let's take a nice picture when everyone is switched on already. So we'll give 10 seconds before we can take a print screen of this.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. And let's do, yeah, I'm okay. Let's do a thumbs up and a print screen. Yeah. I'm just trying to energize you guys, right?
Thank you, Sandeep.
Perfect. Good luck to each one of you. I think nothing like getting together as a community on a weekend.
Yeah.
Good luck to each of you, enthusiasm and energy. And yeah, happy learning and have a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thanks a lot.
And definitely this platform is going to help in future also. The people who have any queries also, anyways, those queries we can take it up within the UG. So any queries, those queries, hopefully it will be addressed in the UG. So, and let's move on, and thank you, Sandeep, again for joining us and helping us as a keynote speaker. And